I thought, I'm not going to make it. Is this really what God has planned for me? Is this a challenge in my life that I'm not going to be able to overcome because it's just too hard, it's just too difficult? Do I have the willpower? Do I have the faith in God? Do I have just the spiritual armor to fight against this spiritual sickness that is trying to bring me down and to try to keep me in the dungeon of darkness, you know, and just through that whole process and seeing God come through that process with me and bring me through really helped me to realize that challenges, yet even though very difficult and very hard to overcome, with God, anything can be overcome. You know, last Friday I had surgery on my back. I had to remove a mole from my back. Once again, the devil got in my head, started planting that seed. Okay, here's another challenge. Let's see if you can get over this challenge. The devil likes to try to get us to question whether or not God can get us over this challenge. That's what he loves to do. He loves to put that self-doubt in. He loves to put the brakes on and say, okay, you know, you made it over that one. And it's kind of crazy. It's like, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different results. We need to make the devil as insane as possible. We need to have the devil every time a challenge comes into our life. We need to have him think that he can get the same results by tempting us, by questioning us, by making us doubt. He wants to do that over and over and over again, but we need to let him realize that he is actually insane if he thinks he's going to keep getting the same results from us every time he tempts us, because every time we go through a challenge, it should make us stronger. It should make us, you know, to realize more that, yes, challenges suck. Challenges are hard. God never promised life without challenge. I mean, he had challenges, but he overcome them because he knew that if God was with him, nobody could be against him. And sometimes challenges don't end the way we think they're going to end. And, you know, it's tough to try to explain that away. But it's part of life. It's part of just the way we are. And sometimes we have to, you know, like I was talking to a buddy of mine today, when God closes a door, we don't need to just stand there and stare at the door. We got to look around. Okay, if that door is closed, is there another door that's open? You got to keep trying the locks. Got to keep trying the door handles. There's a guy where my wife works at, and sometimes when I come to pick her up, he's the guy that goes around and makes sure all the doors are locked. So he's checking all the door handles. He's looking for an open door. He's looking to make sure that all the doors that are supposed to be locked are locked, and all the doors that are supposed to be open are open. And that's the way God wants us to be in our lives. There are doors in our lives that are meant to be locked. And there are doors in our lives that are meant to be open. And we can't just stand there and stare at a closed door going, how do I get this door open? Maybe it's not meant to be open. Maybe it's not meant to be a door that you're supposed to walk through. Maybe you're supposed to go down to the next door. Or you're supposed to go down the street to the next door. Or maybe you're supposed to go across the country to the next door. Wherever that next door is, you got to check it. You got to jiggle the handle. You know, God loves it when we seek him out, you know, when all seems locked up and unreachable. That's when he loves to bless us, because then that's when we really can, you know, just fall back on his grace and his trust and his love for us. If he just came to us when life was easy, would we really need him? I mean, would we really learn to need him, to rely on him? You know, it would be just like, okay, God, I hear you. Thanks. I'm good. Thanks. Now, I'm not saying that you know, it should take a challenge for us to grow deeply in God, but God can use those challenges in our lives to help us grow deeper to him. And it's just an amazing thing when we can realize that. You know, at work, for me, you know, I there was a certain aspect of my job that I loved doing. love doing. But that season ended. And it was like I was standing at the door, locked door, going, why? Why am I not being allowed back into this door? Why is that? But then God said, start looking for other open doors. So I took this time and have been able to take this time to use by God to bless other people. I've been able to make signs to encourage people. I've been able to help people get where they need to go if they can't afford a pass. God's been able to bless them through that, and to make sure that they can get to work, they can get to the doctor's appointment, they can get to wherever they need to go, and not have that aspect of the challenge be in their life. And I realize now that that's why that season of that aspect of my job ended. It wasn't because of me. It was because God said, I have another purpose for you right now. I have another plan for you right now that I need you to go and fulfill. But the devil gets in your head and says, oh, I wasn't good enough. They didn't like me, didn't care about me. I'm a failure. Life sucks. This is a challenge. Here we go again. And the devil gets in your ear and tells you all that stuff. But if you can tune all that out and continue to look for that open door that God has for you, you will walk through that door confidently and triumphantly and realize that this is the moment that God has for you in this very moment of your life. We often think that we can plan our own lives and we have goals, and it's great to have goals. Awesome to have goals. I have goals, and I have dreams and I have desires, but I always try to listen to God's will in my life, in my call in my life, to see if my desires and my goals match up with His. Because when we match up with His, even though challenges may come, we can walk through them confidently, knowing that God's going to take care of that challenge because I'm walking the road that He has paved for me. And He's not going to lead us, off of a cliff. When GPS first came out, you heard all these horrible stories about, Google Maps. They would take people, to the edge of a cliff, or it would take them to a dead end, or it would take them to, somewhere way off the beaten path. It would say U-turn, recenter, U-turn, recenter. But God's path doesn't say that. God's GPS for our life doesn't say that. It never says you're at a dead end, or it never says, I led you the wrong way. God never says that. And God never says that there won't be challenges and bumps and potholes along the way. But when we go down the same road, even in town when I'm driving or when you're driving, if you go down the same road all the time, you start to learn where the potholes are, and you start to learn to avoid them. And you start to hit them and realize it's not so bad. You know what I mean? God's plan for our lives and God's walk in our lives is the same thing. We got to keep walking forward. We got to keep realizing that when challenges come, God's going to take care of it in God's way. Not always in our way. We can't get mad when it doesn't end up the way we think it should. We can't say, well, God, you failed me. You let me down. You didn't give me what I wanted. Sometimes what we want isn't what God has for us. It's like, if a 4-year-old came to you for his birthday and said, Dad, I want a car. Are you going to buy a 4-year-old a car? No. Even though he wants it and he thinks that's what he needs, we know in our wisdom, for one, he's too young to drive it. 2, what benefit would it be for him? So that's the way God is with us. When we come to God and we have these needs that God knows that we don't really need right now, not saying we can't have it later, but at this moment God says, you're not ready for that yet. We got to keep walking. We can't say, okay, well, you know what? If I'm not going to get it, forget it. It's either one and done, God. He seems to be a one and done God with a lot of people, A lot of people give him one chance, one challenge, and if it doesn't go the way they think, or if it doesn't work out the way they think, they say, we're done. That's it. And we can't be like that with God, because God is never done with us. He's never done working in our lives whatever we're going through, whatever challenge we're going through, whatever moment of joy that we're experiencing, He's always there with us. He says in the Bible that He wants to be closer than a brother. He wants to be nearer and dearer than anybody that we have ever known in our life. Ever. Never. You know, there's a famous picture of Jesus knocking on a door. And just up till recently, I'd never realized this, but this changed my whole concept of the picture. Jesus is standing at the door knocking, but if you look at the door, there's no doorknob on the outside. There's no way for Him to get in. Which means when challenges come and God's standing at the door knocking and say, hey, I got the answer, I got the cure, we got to get up and open the door for Him. We got to let Him come in, because we've got to embrace the idea, the fact that he's got the answers. He can handle any challenge we bring to Him. Now, like I said, the answer to the challenge may be different than what we plan out before we come to God. But what's up, man? But we just gotta trust that His answer is always going to be the right answer. That our answer isn't always going to be the right. Now, sometimes our answer matches up with His answers if we're walking in the will and listening and praying and considering everything around us. You know, what kind of people are in our lives? What kind of people are coming into our lives? What kind of situations are coming into our lives? You know, it doesn't always have to be just a miraculous one-time moment. It can be a journey, a season of people coming into our lives, you know. When I went through cancer, I had people just pouring into my life that I knew, that I cared about, that I loved, but it just seemed like it just brought it closer, and it made the challenge of what I was going through even more bearable, because I knew I had all these people around me praying for me, loving me, taking care of me, carrying on for me. And so when we realize that we need to look around in our challenges and see what God is lining up for us, and not stare at the closed door thinking, man, I'm never going to get through. This is the end. This is it. I've come to my last closed door and I can't go any farther. There's always one more open door that God has for you. And we need to search it, and we need to walk it. And we also need to come along other people that we know that are going through challenges and say, hey, you know what? I've been down in this hole too, but God showed me the way out, and I know God wants me to show you the way out. And we're going to walk together as a community, and we're going to stand together as a community, and we're going to say, you know what, devil? You can bring your sickness, you can bring your disease, you can